I Ankur Raj welcome you all in this newly made video lecture series based on Cambridge University Press computer science domain, which is prominently for the CAIE and IGCSE board and also caters some of the CBSE schools such as DPS, GD Goenka and all. Okay students, so in this we are following the book namely ClickStart, and this book is for the level 6, grade 6 or class 6 we can say, and right now we are covering chapter number 1, and the name of chapter is Know Your Computer, and this is the lecture number 4 of class 6. The lecture number would be based on the classes, the grade, not according to the chapters. That is, if chapter will end, it doesn't mean again we will start with lecture number 1. Like chapter number 2 will end, it doesn't mean again from chapter 3 I will start with like lecture number 1. Lecture number 1 will go and will increase until unless the class will end. The whole curriculum, whole syllabus of that particular grade or class, when it will end, then only our lecture number will stop, otherwise it will increase. Okay students, right now in today's lecture number 4, our topic is the same topic, the evolution of computers, and evolution of computers we would be covering the second generation of computers, and the timeline of second generation computer is 1956 to 1963. Now let's move students regarding the evolution of computers and understand this topic, that how the second generation of computers is working and what was there and for what the second generation of computer is important for us, what are the discoveries that were made in 1956 to 1963, and the first generation computer was that was from 1940 to 1956. Now moving ahead, our timeline is from 1956 to 1963. Now understand this topic. So here is our book. Okay students, where we have earlier studied about the first generation of computers, in which vacuum tube was very much important. The main discovery was my vacuum tube. It means, just you can say, the first generation of computer is known for the vacuum tube, and the second generation of computer is known for transistor. Okay students, so the main thing is transistors. Okay, second generation computer, but the main discovery was in the second generation of computer is transistors. So let's start. And also during the first generation of computers, we have also studied about some of the fact files in which we have covered some of the important computers like UNIVAC and ENIAC. So UNIVAC was a universal automatic computer, and ENIAC was the electronic numerical integrator and computer. Okay, and ENIAC was one of the we can say like first commercial computers. Okay, so now focusing on the second generation of computers only. Okay, we will be seeing this diagram. Here is a diagram, and in this diagram there are so many transistors are there. So means these are nothing but transistors. A small box like structure. It could be a round or square shaped or rectangle shaped. Okay, and some of the lines are, some of the threads, some of the lines are coming out of this. Okay, so in 1960s, we could say in 1960s transistor based computers were replaced vacuum tubes. Means what happened in 1960s? In 1960s, transistor based computers replaced vacuum tubes. It means vacuum tubes were there earlier. Okay, vacuum tubes were there earlier in means from 1940 to 1956. What were there? Vacuum tubes were there earlier, but in 1960s, made from 1956 to 1963, ahead of the first generation computers, vacuum tubes were replaced by what? By transistors. That's why it is saying that in 1960s transistor based computers replaced what they have replaced? Vacuum tubes. Vacuum tubes which was discovered in the first generation of computers from 1940 to 1956, that was replaced by transistors during the second generation of computers, means in the 1960s. And by that thing, this particular replacement from the vacuum tube to the transistor, means the replacement of vacuum tube to transistor has made a good remarkable performance, okay, which marked the second generation of computers also. So what happened after the replacement of vacuum tubes from transistors? By the help of transistors, it made computers smaller and cheaper. Means now the computers were available to each and every, or we can say not only the families or the persons which were able to buy the computers which were very much expensive and all. Now in the 1956 to 1963, the transistor which were developed, by the help of this transistor, this made computers cheaper. Now the person or the family which has a medium level family, which has a normal family income, okay, that type of family also was able to buy computers. And also the size of computers became smaller. Means the size will become smaller and the cost also became less, means it became cheaper. Now it's not that expensive, means it is now available, it is now affordable to a simple family also, a normal family which is not earning that much amount of money in comparison to the high profile family. So again, so two things we have encountered about the size and the cost. So size was reduced and the cost was also reduced, okay, so it became affordable, not expensive in the comparison. Also by the help of transistors, so we could highlight this term that it made computers smaller and also cheaper. Now it also made computers energy efficient. It made computer energy efficient. What is the meaning of energy efficient? It means the computers now, which in the earlier times during the first generation of computers, means during the 1940 to 1956, the computers were consuming large amount of electricity, but these computers which were using transistors now are not consuming that much amount of energy. Means energy, it means in which form of energy? In the form of electrical energy. Means this electricity is not consumed in that much amount. Means the amount of electricity that means that the amount of electricity the computers which are consuming when the transistors were used is not that much. Means that they become energy efficient. They are working efficiently, they are working with high performance, they are giving their high efficiency, but that too not consuming that much amount of energy. Means by the help of energy only, they are by taking a input of small amount of energy only, they are giving the same amount of performance. There is no any change in the performance. The performance is same. Means performance is same, everything is same, the working is same, okay. Means the performance is same, the working is same, whatever the computer was doing earlier, now also the computers are doing same thing, the working is same, but the amount of electricity that the earlier computers were consuming, in comparison, these computers, the second generation computers, the computers which are using transistors, these are not consuming that much amount of electricity. These are not consuming that much amount of electrical energy to work. these are not taking that much energy, so they are energy efficient. This type of thing is known as energy efficient. So okay, so this is the third main important thing about the second generation of computers. Now it is saying, but the transistors were subject to damage because of the emission of large amount of heat energy from the computer. Okay, so it is saying that they also made computers energy efficient, but the transistors were subject to damage because of emission of large amount of heat from the computer. It means at the same time means these are the positive things about the second generation of computers, that it was smaller, it was cheaper, it was energy efficient. But there is one negative thing. Okay, what is the negative thing? That during the same time, when these computers were taking less amount of energy and working at high performance, giving their high efficiency, but at the same time they are damaging the computers. How they are damaging the computers? Because during the performance, during the working of computers, or after the performance, they are also emitting means the energy, the heat, means they are working, and after working or during the working, okay, they are emitting, means the machines are getting hot, they are getting warm, है ना. After doing the high performance work, they are getting heated. So many we can say like large amount of heat is coming out of those computers. They are getting heated. Okay, so by the help of by the emission of that particular heat, which is not good for the computers, so they are damaging the computers also. Okay, so on the same time, when they are energy efficient, means they are taking less amount of energy and they're working at a high performance, but they are damaging our computers too. How? As during the performance or after the performance, they are emitting large amount of heat energy from the computer as an output, or also we can feel it. So they are damaging the things, they are damaging the parts of the computers also. So the heat coming out, so this is negative about this thing. Okay, it means in each and every generation we would be seeing some of the positive points about that particular generation of computers, and at the same time we would be seeing some of the negative points about those particular generation of computers. Now we would be seeing about the second stanza, what our second paragraph is saying. So computers belonging to this generation used punch cards for input. If we would be focusing upon the inputs, so these particular computers, the second generation of computers, were using punch cards for inputs. Means for inputting, they were using what? Punch cards. Means see, every time there are so many, we have studied about the inputs. Okay, input devices, output devices. By input devices we are giving input to the computer, and after that the computer processes it and then gives us output. I think you would be remember about so many input devices, such as so many input devices are there, such as keyboards are there. In present generation, keyboards are there. Okay, mouse is there. Okay, so these are some of the basic input devices. Okay, some of those students who might be playing games. Okay, so there are some of the input devices like joystick, okay, by which you give input when you play game. Okay, so these are some of the input devices by which we give input to our computers. Okay, then computer processes it and then gives us output. So output devices such as monitor, okay, the screen from which we can see, okay, then the sound which comes out of the speaker. So speaker is also an input device, an output device. So monitor is an output device, speaker is an output device. When you go to Xerox machine, the printer is there. Okay, the printer Xerox machine, it is an output device. The printer is an output device. A scanner is what? It is an input device because it scans our documents and then it goes inside the computer. So scanner is also an input device, printer is an output device. Okay students, so these are some of the input devices, and these are some of the input devices, and these are some of the output devices. Okay, so here we are saying for the input punch cards were used. Okay, this is also one of the point. So, and these punch cards which were used for giving inputs to our computer systems, which computers? Those computers during the second generation of computers 956 to 963 were using punch cards for giving the inputs to our computers that were using transistors. And also one more very much important thing is those punch cards were using assembly language. Okay, means the language obviously we are used to whenever anything is getting an input, there would be a language. So which language is used by the punch cards? Assembly language were used by the punch cards to give input. So input was given in the computers, the second generation computers, by the help of punch cards, and the language which was used was assembly language, not. So now by comparing to the first generation of computers, you might be remembering that which language was used during the first generation of computers. So if you might remember, we were using which language? We were using machine language. Okay, and machine language was a combination of 0 and 1. But here in second generation of computers, we were using assembly language, where in punch cards for giving input to our computers. And what are assembly language? It is also a low level programming language. And this is based on English alphabets. Okay, this programming language is based upon English alphabets, not 1 and 0. 1 and 0 is resembling machine language, but English alphabet comes under a low level language, which is assembly language. Means assembly language is of which family? Of low level programming language. Okay, and this machine level language is also a family of low level programming language, but comprised of 0 and 1. Okay students, so in the first generation language we were using machine language, which is also a low level programming language, but second generation computer were using assembly language, which is also a low level language. But the main thing is assembly language uses English alphabets, but machine language uses 0 and 1 combination. Okay, so now again concluding that these computers, second generation computers 956 to 963, which were using transistor as the main component, were using punch cards for giving the inputs to our computers, and those punch cards were using assembly language, and these assembly languages were nothing but comes under the family of low level programming languages, and these assembly languages were using English alphabets. Okay, and the instructions written in these languages are in the form of codes. The instructions written or the statements written in here when we are giving input to our computers, which were written in the assembly languages, so the instructions are written in the form of codes. And also students, these assembly languages was machine dependent. What is the meaning of machine dependent? Means the assembly languages were dependent upon which type of computer it is. Okay, what type of operating system that particular computer is, and that any type of second generation of computers is made up of, means what is the configuration of that particular computer, what is the OS of that particular computer. OS means what is the operating system of computer, such as we have like Windows. Okay, so which Windows is there, है ना, or which type of Windows is there, or something another is there. So means that particular assembly languages was machine dependent. It is depending upon the operating system, and so it is not independent. It is dependent on operating system or OS, means it is indirectly dependent upon the configuration of the computers. Okay students, yeah, so now here we have completed our second generation of computers, so we can relate with it. And for first generation computers were using vacuum tubes, but the second generation computers were using transistors. The first generation of computers is from 1940 to 1956, but the second generation of computers is from 1956 to 1963. And the first generation of computers were able to solve physics equations also, and using the electronic vacuum tubes. And the language which was used in the first generation of computers were machine language, also under the family of low level programming languages. And this machine language uses the 0 and 1, the combination of 0 and 1 as bit. Okay, 0 and 1. But the second generation of computer were using not machine language, they were using assembly languages. And the assembly language also comes under the family of low level programming language, and this assembly language were using English alphabets. And these computers which were using English alphabets were using assembly languages were machine dependent, means these computers were dependent upon which type of operating system that particular computer has, or which type of configuration is there in that particular computer in the second generation of computers. But it is not like that in the first generation of computers. Also, we can say the first generation of computers were expensive and bulky, but the second generation of computer were not that much expensive. They were cheaper, and also second generation of computer is not bulky, it is smaller. And the first generation of computer were not that much energy efficient, but the second generation of computers are energy efficient. But the second generation of computer were also emitting large amount of heat. Okay, and in the first generation computers, the computers were not supporting multitasking, and the programs were complicated and difficult to remember. Okay students, so we have covered the second generation of computers, and also we had discussed the difference between the first generation of computers and the second generation of computers. So now I think you could be able to understand these generation of computers and also understand the difference between these computers. Okay students, so in today's session of this lecture series, in this lecture number 4, we would be covering this much only, and hope you might have understood all the topics, all the things in detail that I have explained, and now be able to learn the things and understood and keep everything in your mind. Okay, and keep practicing and keep reading the things and try to understand and make comparisons and make notes of these things and understand it clearly. And you could also make small diagrams, like in second generation we would be having transistors. Okay, some of like round transistors, some of like square transistors, some of like rectangular transistors. But in the first generation we would having VC, that are vacuum tubes. So this is quite interesting, and for maintaining the interest you could be keep watching the video lectures and also focusing on your books and making your notes and making the exercises, that too objective and subjective also. So good luck to all of the students, and now I would be ending this session of my lecture, and now wishing you best of luck for your upcoming or next exam, whatever would be, like your test or exam, uh, periodic assessment or term examinations and all, or we can say surprise test or class test and all. So keep studying and work smart, and also work hard depending upon the capability and understanding and the knowledge you are having in the computers. If you have some of the interest, then it is quite beneficial. Otherwise, you could try, and then you will be able to achieve the interest, and then slowly we would be on the track and understand and keep on revising the things and understanding the concepts of computer science. So I would be your friend and a teacher to make you understand each and every topic of computer science based on the Cambridge University Press. That could be either of CBSE or CAIE-IGCSE board, okay, for class 6, and also ahead for all the chapters and all the topics and subtopics. Okay students, that much from my side. So I would be meeting you in the next session, in the next lecture, that would be lecture number 5, for the same chapter and for the same topic, evolution of computers. But the topic would be the next, that would be the third generation of computers. Okay students, so thank you class.